Hello, and thank you for taking the time today to come see what I'm up to here at Rocks. I want to introduce myself, Phill, the CEO of Rocks Resources. Been here about 3 months. On this recording, I want to run through my background and why I joined Rocks. We'll have a brief review of the very strong PFS that was released in July 2024, and also followed up where we're at today and what our plans are for 2025. My background is a mining engineer with about 20 years experience. I've worked in small scale and large producers throughout my career. Spent a lot of time in gold, but also a bit of time in the base metal space. Over this time, I've done multiple mining studies, permitting, starting, restructuring operations, optimising multiple operations, and done these in roles of mine manager, general manager, and chief operating officer. One thing I've always enjoyed is starting operations, building teams, and bringing mines into production. Most recently, I spent a bit over 11 years inside the Westgold Group. From in that house, I was mine manager, worked up to a general manager, got into projects, and ultimately became the COO for my last couple of years, which were there. It was a fantastic journey, great story to be part of, and particularly the last few years when I was the CEO, where we delivered strong cash flows, restarted the growth process, and ultimately culminated in a large merger. But for me though, it was time to move. I wanted to start another operation and I wanted to be the leader of that business, which led me to Rocks Resources. Timing was perfect. The PFS had just been released. There were some fantastic metrics, which I'll cover off on next. You and Me project is one I've been watching for a long time. It plays to my strengths and what I like, and where I see the potential for strong value creation for shareholders. It's a high grade mine. It's going to be underground operations. It's got a fantastic ounce per metre profile, very low cross space, and a huge potential to grow. Onto the UME pre-feasibility study highlights. It's a high-grade reserve and resource. The maiden probable ore reserve came in at just under 4 million tonnes at 4.4 grams for 550,000 ounces. It's got a resource base of 16.2 million tonnes at 4.4 grams for 2.3 million ounces. Production profile, it's a bit over 100,000 ounces for a circa 8-year operation, 800,000 ounces in the plan. Plant recovery at 92.6%, and that's based on a 750,000 tonne per annum mill, which we do see getting a lot bigger. The cost base is extremely low, a bit under 1,700 Aussie dollars, resulting in a very high margin. Free cash flows at today's gold price are circa $1.6 billion. This project is very resilient to price decreases. The NPV, again, today's gold price, you're over $1 billion NPV, so again, it's a very strong project. We used quite conservative numbers in the PFS, which was released at 3,700, and that still had an NPV of circa 800 million. The high-grade mineral resource estimate. This slide here shows what I was talking about earlier with the high ounces of vertical metre. The top 300 metres of this ore system is over 4,000 ounces per vertical metre, and even as it goes down depth, it's still sitting around that 2,000 OVMs. This is a very strong ore system. Resource numbers are shown below, but the underground itself, nearly 10 million tonnes at 5.5 grams for circa 1.7 million ounces. And this system's pretty early in its stages as well, and it will be growing the drill programs we've got underway now. High grade ore reserve, 550,000 ounces at 4.4 grams a tonne. It's pretty strong, but the mine plan itself is 800,000 ounces at 4.4, and that's where the last drill program we've done was working on really converting these ounces to get them into the reserve. Very strong metrics again, upper areas, 1,500 plus ounces of vertical metre. As we get deeper, we're still holding those sort of numbers as well. Infrastructure in place already there. The central part of the mine, UME main, there's a decline which goes 600 metres below surface. And this is going to be the backbone of the operation going forwards. Those last two parts, they lead into our exploration targets. We've got a 35,000 plus metre drill program underway at the moment, as we were released recently. And that's really focusing on our near-term growth opportunities and infilling the current mine plan. Growth-wise, we're looking at Kathleen, UME North area for the early ounces into the plan, depth extensions on those parts of the ore system, and then into Pollard. Pollard is a very untested area of the ore body. It has the large potential to be a potential repetition of the UME main system, and we're focusing on that right now with 2 diamond rigs spinning there as we speak. Overall growth target, we're looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 million tonnes, 4.7 to 7 grams for another 1 to 2 million ounces to come in on this resource base. It's a pretty exciting time and a lot of work going into this. And this leads us to where we are today. Over the last few months, we've completed the 11,000 metre drill program, and that really focused on the infill drilling, converting more of the mine plan into the reserves. And in doing so, we got some great intercepts and some really useful information. The other key part of this program, however, was focusing on getting the MET testing results. Within the source system, as depicted in the PFS, the intent is to use an albumin plant for the processing. Initial test work has confirmed that sulphides here do oxidise very readily. The albumin is shown to be a very economical way of extracting the gold that's been associated with the sulphides, something we'll provide more information on in the coming months. Samples are currently at labs in Perth. They are there for the comminution and flotation testing. These concentrates were produced and then sent to the eastern states early next month for the albumin test work. This is a confirmation on the required grind sizes we need at the front end of the plant, as well as through the isomills, and then how many tanks we're going to need for this process. We'll get information for this around the mid-year, and that'll allow us to finalise the processing plant design. This then led to the capital raise, which we launched in mid-November, with a key intent on delivery of a DFS with resource growth and getting dewatering underway. So the capital raise was $26 million plus a $1 million share purchase plan. The raise was strongly supported by our cornerstone investors in Hawke's Point and Q-Gold, who really came behind us and supported us, increasing our positions as they went about it. This has helped strengthen the structure with several new funds coming in to support, and this is really important for us in building this business into the future and getting the project off the ground. And we've doubled our institutional holdings from 5% to just under 10%, which is really important to us. Tranche 1 and the SPP were recently completed with strong retail support, and we do acknowledge that not all those who wish to participate were able to do so. Tranche 2 will be approved by shareholders at a general meeting on the 20th of January 2025, and an unmarketable parcel facility will happen shortly. The use of funds, as we communicate in releases, is to accelerate near mine growth drilling through the 35,000 metre drill program, updating the mineral resources or reserves for the DFS, finalising UME DFS, preparing and commencing early dewatering activities to accelerate our path to production, further assessing high-grade exploration targets which sit in our expansive tenement package, and provide general working capital for the company. Onto the drilling activities. DDH1 and strike drilling are on site at the moment with 5 rigs operating. There's 4 diamond rigs and 1 RC rig currently spinning on our site. This is part of the 35,000 metre program focused on resource growth and resource definition. The Phase 1 program is well advanced, having started in early December. Phase 2, we've got 2 rigs sitting over there at the moment, focusing on getting to this pilot area and trying to grow this part of the ore body. Phase 3 will start in the coming few days, where we'll get more rigs moving around the place, really starting to pump out some news flow from this site. Dewatering early works. We've got significant infrastructure with high volume evaporation ponds available on site. These are fully licensed, fully permitted, able to be used. Got to do a bit of refurb work on them, putting some windrows up, doing some abutments, but it's only minor works. Following that, we'll get pipelines run, get the pumps in, and hoping to commence all this in February. In March, the expectation is water will be going up here and evaporating. We're also looking into the ability to move water to the northern pits, Kathleen and Rebel, as temporary storage locations, with the permitting process well underway for that. The target is to get access to the main pit floor and United North for early works with the aim of accelerating the path to production. So this leads into the indicative pathway to production. Our plan is to develop a high-grade, high-margin underground gold project whilst unlocking its significant growth potential. Where we're going to do this, it's starting with the growth phase, the resource extensional drilling and the exploration drilling. Both these are well and truly underway with the rigs being on site back in December. Geology and mine planning, ResDev, that'll come as part of this process as well. That'll lead into an MRE update which is due around mid-year, which goes into the mine plan update, and that'll feed into the DFS with new reserves late Q3, early Q4. Metallurgy work, comminution flotation test work, that's underway. End of this month, we should be getting the samples across to the eastern states to start the albumin test work, early results in June, July, and then that'll lead into the mill design and finalising the albumin circuit. In terms of design work, tailing storage is a large component of it. That's going to get kicked off shortly with the RFQs going out, and again, that'll lead into the plant and mine design as well. Approvals process, the environmental review is underway. We'll have an environmental manager starting this shortly, working alongside our consultants to accelerate that process to get this project up and permitted. The early dewatering, we're on track here. The RFQs have all been out, tenders have been received, and work should start next month. Potential for early underground access. This is really going to be something which depends on the drilling of this project. If we get some really good results, we're going to want to look at getting down, get a bit closer with some exploration platforms, put the underground drill rigs in there and really hit these targets. So it's something which we'll monitor as the year goes and make a decision later on. The ultimate aim this year is to get a DFS delivered somewhere around that late Q3, early Q4, and be working on a final investment decision at the end of this year to start construction in 2026 and pour gold in calendar year 2027. When this comes to the summary, the next steps, where we're at. So recapping on what we've been talking about, the near mine exploration and growth, the 35,000 metre drill program. We're drilling near mine growth targets, focusing early ounces, increased production, followed by the infill and the depth extensions to the ore system. There's potential to significantly increase the scale of the UME Gold project, and news flows will start to come in pretty soon. Progressing the definitive feasibility study. We're going to continue the met test work programs to test for the metallurgical variability and to further refine the processing flow sheet. Comminution and flotation work has started, and that'll lead into the Albion pretty soon. Commence our permitting and seeking all necessary approvals for the project. We'll progress discussions on project financing and ultimately deliver the DFS late in H2 calendar year 2025. Into dewatering, we were refurbishing evaporation ponds to commence dewatering with the intention being moving water around March, and we're also going to work on a pipeline out to Lake Noondy and progress the approvals to make that happen. And that brings us to the end of our recording. Thank you to everybody who's taken the time to come and have a look at this. We're going to have a really strong 2025 here, and if there's any queries, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.